First with breaking news. First with new information. Plus, your First Alert forecast. 19 News starts now.
You have a serious issue, and this is a serious issue. Please, you need to get to Channel 19 News.
A veteran in Cavs wheelchair team member spent days in the dark after the power company repeatedly, he says, ignored his calls for help. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Duffy.
And I'm Nicole Versansky. So he called the 19 troubleshooters, and within just 2 hours of us contacting the utility company, crews showed up to fix the problem.
First to 4, Brittany Weir live for us in Richmond Heights with the story. Brittany.
Yes, Samuel Johnson Jr., he lives right here on Whiteway Drive in Richmond Heights. Well, Friday's powerful storms and strong winds, they snapped this utility pole behind his house right in half, leaving down power lines all across his backyard and knocked out his power. Ever since then, he's been living in the dark. Well, we called First Energy, and just about an hour ago, these crews showed up. They're working to fix that pole right now, and they're hard at work to fix the entire problem.
I want you to come out here and fix this today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today.
Samuel Johnson Jr. is talking about his power. He says on Friday during the strong storms, he heard a big boom. Then his neighbor alerted him to the damage in his backyard.
He's like, Wheels, your pole is snapped in two and it's pulled from the house.
He says he immediately reported the broken pole, which knocked out power for his entire neighborhood. 5 days later, he's the only one still left in the dark.
Just the fact that their power was on in hours, less than 3 hours. I'm going on Wednesday with no one coming out, no one knocking at the door. Nothing.
Johnson says he has been calling First Energy every single day, but no one showed up to even look at the problem until 19 News got involved.
Last Energy, that's what their name needs to be. Last Energy. They ain't been out here, ain't sent nobody out here.
Johnson is a member of the Cleveland Wheelchair Cavaliers. He leaves next week for the championship and wants the power fixed before he hits the road.
Samuel Wheels Johnson.
Up until today, he has only seen empty promises.
So this was from yesterday. Pending investigation, crew status, additional crews requested. But you haven't seen anything.
Ain't nobody been out here.
We called First Energy on the phone.
Ma'am, let me gather some information.
We were told their first available crew would be heading over to Johnson's house, which happened exactly 2 hours later. Johnson is an Army veteran who served as a combat medic for 5 years. Thankfully, he was gifted a generator by the VA, but he still remains frustrated with how he was treated.
I didn't break it. I'm not responsible for it. It's your responsibility. But yet I gotta chase you down for you to do your job.
We said you can see now that First Energy is out here. We have several crews hard at work trying to fix that utility pole. And I did just speak to Mr. Johnson on the phone. He said he is so happy to see them out here in his backyard fixing that problem. And he is extremely thankful for our help. In Richmond Heights, Brittany Weir, 19 News.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
All right, now to your First Alert on some warming temperatures.
I don't think anyone's going to complain about that, right? 19 First Alert meteorologist Andy Chillian here with those details.
It's interesting. We've only been cold for a couple days and maybe 2.5, and yet it seems like it's been forever. So we're going to start to warm back up, and it'll be nicer starting tomorrow and especially on Friday and Saturday. We're still stuck in the chill now. In fact, temperatures have been sluggish to rise this afternoon. We're very cloudy. You may have seen a few stray flakes. Our radar not really picking up on much, but the wind is still out there. Now, of course, it's not really windy as it has been the past few days, but it's enough to just be annoying, where 32 feels like 22 in Lorain and Cleveland, feels like 23 in Worcester, feels even colder in some spots, but it feels like 22 in Akron and Canton as well. So either way, it is cold, it is dim, and dull. It's got a few flakes crossing here. We'll see a lot more clouds again tomorrow, maybe a few peaks of sun, but then we'll start to sneak in more sunshine as we head into the start of the weekend and especially through the middle of next week. So clouds hanging around through this evening. Temperatures, though, steady. One thing I do want to point out, it's not going to be nearly as cold tonight. No teens expected. We'll actually stay just a bit above freezing in the mid-30s with that south wind continuing around 10 to maybe up to 15 miles per hour. So it's going to be cold again to start the day tomorrow, but not as bad as this morning. Tracking a couple more weak systems. Those are going to bring mainly rain. I'll time those out for you. We are trending milder through Saturday, and then I'm tracking our next cold front on Sunday. Latest on that coming up here in just a bit.
We now know the funeral arrangements for the two young sisters whose bodies were found partially buried in separate suitcases. Their mother has been arrested. Services for Mila Chapman and Amor Wilson will be a week from today on March 25th. They'll be at the Mount Sinai Baptist Church on Woodland Avenue. The service is private. The Mystic Knights Motorcycle Club, though, will be organizing an escort for the sisters to the church.
We attempted to transport one of them with a helicopter, but due to weather, we weren't able to get a helicopter to come in.
Two people are in the hospital recovering from an explosion at a wood supply plant. The investigation into what exactly happened, what's been damaged, remains underway. Colton Molesky live for us just outside this business now with everything, Colton, we know right now.
Brian, the explosion at Holmes Custom Molding right here behind me burned 6 people. And a fire official tells me that crews were working for 5 hours to make sure everything was put out.
The explosion was significant enough that it blew out garage doors and even blew a wall off the foundation.
Just before 1 Tuesday afternoon, things spiraled out of control quickly at Holmes Custom Molding. An explosion rocking the building.
It started from a belt sander that had malfunctioned and throwing sparks into the dust collection system.
East Holmes Fire Chief John Schleba says when those sparks reached the outside dustbin, an explosion was triggered. In total, 3 agencies responded to the business just outside Berlin, an hour south of Akron. Crews worked hours to ensure all sparks and hot spots along the ventilation system were out.
We had several volunteers working across the street, so they were there at 12:44. So a minute later, they were already on scene.
The chief tells me he is meeting with insurance today to get an idea of the damage from the explosion and finish the fire report.
It was a significant explosion.
Now, the fire chief says that 4 of the 6 people burned have been discharged. I did talk with the business to see if they'd be interested in an interview, but they declined while the investigation continues. I also looked the business up on OSHA's website and did not find any previous violations. In Berlin, Colton Molesky, 19 News.
Okay, Colton, well, the First Energy corruption trial is now in the hands of a jury in Akron. Former First Energy CEO Chuck Jones and former senior VP Michael Dowling are accused of taking part in a $60 million bribery scheme to get state lawmakers to pass a nuclear plant bailout. All 12 jurors must agree on the verdict. Former Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder is already serving 20 years in federal prison for his role in the bribery case.
Now your 19 First Alert traffic update.
You're taking a live look at 90 passing Chester Avenue around Dead Man's Curve. This is the slow spot in Northeast Ohio with speed just around 10 miles per hour. But good news, that crash that was blocking the right shoulder and also the right lane has been cleared out along with those first responders. So you'll just be dealing with the usual couple minutes that'll be added onto your drive. You're used to that. But we also have that crash that was on the Opportunity Corridor westbound, causing a backup from East 79th Street to East 93rd. Now that crash has just been cleared as well. However, we're still dealing with very slow speeds, just 9 miles per hour for more than 14 blocks. So you'll still be dealing with a couple extra minutes being added onto your drive. You're about to be leaving right now and then heading this way. But give it a few minutes and I do expect those slowdowns to subside. But there's no other crashes or breakdowns that we originally reported. So I'll be getting some more information on what's going on in Akron in my First Alert traffic updates.
Well, we continue to ask questions, get answers surrounding yesterday's big boom and the fireball across our skies.
So an asteroid burning up, but could you find any of the meteoroids that fell? Dan DeRose has been getting answers to that question today.
A little bit of 8th grade, 7th grade science class for you. It's an asteroid when it's in space. When it comes into the atmosphere, it's a meteor. And then once it makes contact with the ground, it's a meteorite, that piece of rock that you might find. And this is some of the questions we're finding from people. Maria saying, Alyssa, let's go find a piece, laugh out loud. Eric asking, where should one look for fragments? What's the composition? Nickel, last but not least, this is interesting. This is somebody posting on our Facebook page named Treasure Coast Meteorite Company. Let me know if anyone finds anything. Now, the professor I spoke to from Case Western Reserve University says there is a chance that there's a debris field and that you might find pieces. But as you're about to hear, you won't be alone if you go out there searching.
From the radar images I've seen, that it's going to be a more widely dispersed, smaller sized objects. You know, we're talking pea-sized, so they may be almost impossible to find. But that said, there certainly is still the possibility that there were some baseballs mixed in, or even a bowling ball or something. That's always possible. But I can tell you, it's almost certain the people that are dedicated meteorite collectors are going to be showing up there soon. They're going to be putting out flyers. And pretty much any rock's got to pass the eyeball test right away. You know, it's got to have a burnt outer crust from coming through the atmosphere. Usually, if you can see the inside, it actually looks different than the outside.
So where would you have to look? I know this map's a little hard to see. Here's the community of Medina. Here's Brunswick. There's going to be a field, debris field to the east of Medina. This blue arrow is actually the path of that meteorite. The professor said if there's a pickleball court or a big open maybe parking lot, you might be able to go through that parking lot. Remember, don't trespass. Don't be on anybody else's property. You might see or you might look for something that just doesn't belong, that looks a little bit charred. Brian?
Well, the Senate has begun a marathon debate session over an elections bill dubbed Save America Act.
President Trump has been pushing for the legislation, claiming it's needed to prevent cheating. But Democrats argue it's really about voter suppression. Erica Brown is on Capitol Hill now with the story.
On the Senate floor Wednesday, lawmakers continued a marathon debate on the Save America Act, a bill that would require proof of citizenship to register to vote, along with photo ID to cast a ballot.
Certainly, if they're not citizens, they shouldn't be registered to vote automatically.
The SAVE Act makes voting harder and makes registration much harder for U.S. citizens.
President Trump has been pushing for the legislation, arguing it is needed to protect election integrity.
Who would not have voter ID? Who would not have proof of citizenship? And the only people who would want not to have that are people that want to cheat. It's very, very simple. We can't let that happen.
But Democrats say the bill could disenfranchise millions of Americans who may not have access to documents such as a passport or birth certificate.
Donald Trump knows that he is losing. Yes. That's what this is about. He's losing.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune has acknowledged the legislation does not have the votes needed to pass, but he promised a, quote, full and robust debate on the Senate floor this week.
I think it's an issue that's really fundamental and important to free and fair elections in this country.
Thune said the debate would force Democrats to defend their position on the issue, and the discussion could last a week or more. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
In addition to the current legislation, the president has also demanded that lawmakers add a ban on most mail-in ballots.
Florida police chase entered uncharted waters Monday when the suspect jumped into a river. Deputies are now questioning a 28-year-old in the Daytona Beach area. The suspect bolts. Look at that. There he goes. Deputies follow even when he enters the Halifax River. A deputy and a Daytona Beach Shores police officer went after him on paddle boards, and they finally found him and got him to shore. Now he's charged with loitering, prowling, and resisting arrest.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
A much quieter weather day today. Still staying chilled, though. We'll finally see temperatures getting back towards seasonable tomorrow. Going to keep the clouds around, and there can be a stray shower or two. I'm not looking at much. It would be rain, by the way, not snow, as temperatures will getting well above freezing during the afternoon hours. On Friday, even warmer. In fact, a lot of us will be well into the 50s, if not even near 60 degrees. We'll have an increasing southerly breeze, and there's the opportunity for a few showers during the afternoon as a front crosses. This doesn't even look to last the whole afternoon right now, maybe a couple hours or so in any one location. So far from a washout, nice to enjoy that first day of spring. And then on Saturday, we're dry again and pleasant overall. Likely seeing a lake breeze set up on Saturday, so the lakeshore will be cooler where warmer temperatures can be found south. In fact, even tomorrow, I do expect a lake breeze as the wind will finally be backing off. So maybe not necessarily a bad thing. Only a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind, which means, yes, we'll get that north wind off the lake later in the afternoon along the lake shore. So that's what's going to keep us in the 40s. But even the start to the day is not going to be as cold. 36 as opposed to 16 or what some areas got to this morning. So not as cold to start, and we rise into the upper 40s during the afternoon with that lighter breeze. But here's a look at your area-wide temperatures tomorrow afternoon. With the lake breeze, we're staying in the 40s. Men are only 45 tomorrow. 48 Cleveland, 47 Sandusky. You head a little bit further south, 50 in Elyria, 52 Medina to Akron, Worcester, Canton, and up to 54 in Millersburg and Dover. So overall, not a bad day, even if it is mostly cloudy with perhaps a stray shower. As we take a look at our First Alert Future View. Have you seen a few flakes today? It hasn't been much. In fact, the air is so dry that what's been shown on radar may not even be reaching the ground. Tomorrow, we may start with a couple of stray rain showers as we're above freezing. No major impacts to the morning commute. And then we'll see things quieting down. You see the temperature split in the afternoon. Here's Friday. The morning is quiet to start, upper 30s and lower 40s. There's that brief round of rain passing in the afternoon. But look at these temperatures, upper 50s to even near 60 everywhere on Friday as the breeze increases from the south. First Alert 7-day shows we'll have a few warm days. 59 Friday, Saturday lake breeze, so 50s lake shore, 60s further south. Sunday, that 60 may trend higher. I'm watching a front moving through, but it's slowed down. So that'll bring us some gusty showers in the afternoon. Chilled for a day on Monday, and then trending more seasonable and dry conditions through the middle of next week.
Now your top four. At 4, the Cleveland Clinic's Beechwood campus was evacuated today. This is ongoing.
Ongoing. There was an odor inside on one of the floors. 4 people were taken to a nearby medical facility complaining of lightheadedness. Now, we spoke with the fire chief. He says the cause of the odor still under investigation. Crews have been going door to door, room to room to try and figure out where that odor, that vapor might be coming from. The clinic did release a statement saying patient appointments and procedures at this location are being postponed, relocated as appropriate. Patients will be contacted directly with additional information.
Okay, we'll stay on top of that. Nearly 10 years since the Pulse nightclub shooting, the building's demolition is almost complete. This is what it looks like today in Orlando, Florida. The demolition will clear the way for a new permanent memorial to honor the victims and those affected by the shooting, which is a lot of people because 49 tragically were killed in the mass shooting back in 2016.
Plans for a controversial mega site in Lorain County are on hold for now. New Russia Township trustees voted to deny a rezoning request for more than 600 acres of farmland near the Lorain County Airport. A developer wanted to turn the land into an industrial site, but didn't say who would move in. Trustees say they do not want a data center or AI server facility there. They say the developer can address their concerns and reapply.
All right, it's back. The iconic Shooters on the Flats West Bank reopened today. It's been totally remodeled, the menu updated, and of course, for those interested, the boat drinks will be plentiful. And there is now a late night pizza kitchen for those getting hungry after dinner. Shooters has been closed for 2 years now. There's new owners. There's going to be live entertainment. That will be a big part of the summer with a new waterfront performance stage, and we're told there is an expanded deck and boat dock.
Fireworks at the Senate confirmation hearing for Oklahoma Republican Markwayne Mullin.
He's President Trump's pick to replace Kristi Noem as head of the Department of Homeland Security. Mullin testified he'd refocus ICE on deporting migrants already in custody and that judicial warrants would be used for agents to enter homes and businesses. Republican Senator, Committee Chair Rand Paul of Kentucky questioned Mullin about comments he made after Paul was attacked on his own property.
So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation of the violence?
A committee vote is expected on Thursday.
Breaking at this hour, one person has died after a cable car cabin at a Swiss ski resort crashed on a snowy mountainside. It happened during strong winds today. The person who died was the only person in the gondola. The investigation into how this happened continues.
Also breaking, Denver airport travelers faced crowds, delays, as they had a power outage affecting the international transit hub that triggered a ground stop. Look at that. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? The facility's train system shut down. Power was restored. The ground stop lifted, but Denver Airport confirms trains are running, but it is going to take a long time to clear the backups.
A local school district is taking a pretty unique approach to bring in additional money to its schools.
If voters pass the newest tax on the May ballot, it would replace basically one tax with another. Plus, it would benefit a target group in the city. Noel Williams explains.
The Parma City Schools District is presenting a new way to bring much needed money into their schools.
We can't invest in Bitcoin. We're not going to win the lottery.
That's why Superintendent Scott Hunt says the district is relying on voters to pass a 1.75% school district income tax levy on the upcoming May ballot. If approved by voters, it would replace 3 current property taxes. And here is the unique part of all of this. It would not apply to retirement income, so that includes pensions, Social Security, or disability benefits for Parma's aging population.
We explored the income tax levy because several other districts across the state had pivoted to look at what a school district income tax would look like.
Voters made it clear that they are not for a property tax levy, which failed to pass back in November. Hunt shares the district's current financial standing.
That days of cash drops significantly, in which we're no longer meeting the policy, which basically means we're dipping into our reserves.
The district's annual report says in 2025 that property taxes provide majority of the local revenue to help operate and maintain its schools. He says that's still the case. Hunt says he can't tell voters what to approve, but he does have this question.
Where do you want Parma City Schools to be in 3, 5, 10 years? We need the support of the community to venture down that pathway.
In Parma, Noel Williams, 19 News.
The district is holding a community conversation at 6 tonight on possibly eliminating the 3 current property taxes. Now to new information on the Amy Mihaljevic murder investigation. Bay Village Police just received a big donation for DNA testing in the case. Chief Robert Gillespie tells me that a Macedonia businessman and his wife donated $15,000. The couple saw the coverage from the Amy Mihaljevic Memorial Run and asked to help. Amy was 10 years old when she was kidnapped in Bay Village in October 1989. Her body was found 4 months later in a field in rural Ashland County. Her killer has never been identified, but investigators have said DNA testing will be the key to solving this case. Gillespie says the donor doesn't want any recognition. He had hoped to remain anonymous. In a statement, the chief goes on to say, quote, "It restores your faith in humanity, that there are good, caring people in the world who genuinely want to help." You can find all of our previous coverage on the Amy Mihaljevic case on Cleveland19.com. KSAT.com.